Happy Friday, everyone, and we are officially live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in. See, we already have a couple of people here. Thanks for joining us today for this FAQ live stream. Little background, who I am. My name is Sam Chlebowski, one of the co-founders here of Motion.io. And we do these live streams every single week at this exact same time, 10:30 Mountain Time out here in Denver, Colorado. And we kind of alternate each week between answering some top questions about Motion.io, showing you our power user features and functionality, as well as just talking about product updates and some of the bigger things that we've released over the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to do a little bit of both today, but we're going to primarily focus on answering your questions and things that you want to learn about Motion.io. The way that you can go ahead and ask a question is simply tune in, write your comment wherever you're joining us from, whether that's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. I do see every question. I will respond to every question in real time. And oftentimes I'm going to hang out as long as y'all keep asking questions. So send those questions in. I see we already have somebody writing in. Fred, hello. How are you doing? How's your Friday going? And if you want to even test out that comment feature now, I would love to know where you're tuning in from today. Like I said, I'm out here in our office in actually Louisville, Colorado, which is just right down the road from me. I live in Denver, but our office is about 25 minutes up the road from me in a little town called Louisville, right outside of Boulder. So hope y'all are having a great Friday, and yeah, looking forward to diving in here today. And I see Fred sent a new question in. I am a new user, so I don't know what I don't know. Fred, that's actually a great place to start, because some of the questions that I had prepared for us today are going to be talking about some of the newer features and some of the basic setup and guidance for you while you're just getting started with Motion.io, because it's been things that I've been seeing come across our support desk a lot lately. And the way that I structure these FAQ live streams is I answer your questions, but I also pull a list of things that we've been hearing most frequently over the last week or so and answer those as well. So I see that you mentioned, Fred, that you have a Zapier issue. What's your issue? What can I show you around Motion.io? I'm happy to dive into all things Zapier here in the call if you want to, explain your issue a little bit more, and I'll show you how you might be able to resolve it. One of the things I did quickly want to highlight while we wait for Fred to write in there so we can dive into Zapier is just a big new feature that we've added in the last last week. What we did is we completely overhauled our file management in Motion.io, and that was really the biggest thing that we released over the last week. For information on that, so we can get right into questions here, I'm going to send to the chat. I'm going to send a link to our knowledge base article. I just rewrote this entire thing. It's really useful for understanding how file management works in Motion.io. So I'll go ahead and paste that in the chat here, so you'll all have access to that. But then, so diving into our first question, Fred says, I have a Zapier issue. HubSpot is creating a project for current customers that have been emailed. We don't want that happening. So, Fred, okay, this is something that I can show you actually pretty easily here. So let me go ahead and I will get into my own Zapier account and just dive in here. And let me show you a quick way to avoid that issue you're experiencing. If anybody in the audience isn't familiar with Zapier, so Motion.io has a really powerful Zapier integration. And what it allows you to do, what Zapier in general allows you to do, is connect thousands of different tools you might be using to each other. And one of the tools that you can connect Motion.io to something like a CRM, to have it create new projects, have it update things and records in your CRM. And then for this specific example, Fred explained that he's using HubSpot to create new projects in Motion.io. So I would take it, Fred, and I'll just assume, but tell me if I'm wrong here, is that probably what you're wanting to do is that you only want to have HubSpot create projects for new customers. You don't want your existing customers to have a project created for them. So I'll show you a very quick way around this. We use HubSpot here internally, and I think I should have a really good solution for you here today. So what I'm going to do here in my own account is I'm actually just going to go create a new project, and I'm here in Zapier. And when you are using Zapier to create new projects from your CRM, it's really important to pay attention of what you are using to trigger that the workflow that creates those new projects. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to add a HubSpot task or a HubSpot trigger. And I'm just going to set this just to new contact for now. I'm going to change this here in a little bit, but I think it's just helpful to for everyone in the audience to see like what a Zap like this might look like before I get into the actual configuration itself. And this is the basic way you're going to set up any type of Zap that you are wanting to kick off projects from some kind of data in your CRM. So next, I'm going to add a Motion.io action. And I'm going to choose the create project action. Select my account here. Cool. All good to go there. And now that you have a general sense of what this Zap workflow is going to look like, I'm also going to rename this here. And I'm going to call this new customer create project in Motion.io. And Fred provided some additional clarification that his Zap workflow is set to new contact property change. Okay, got that. So Fred, that might be the issue. It might not be. Let me go ahead and show you a good way to make sure that basically only the folks that you are wanting new projects created for are going to have those, are going to be emailed by Motion.io, or going to have those projects created. So I'm going to go and I'm actually going to change this so it replicates your setup. And because we use HubSpot here internally, this is actually something that's pretty easy for me to show you here. It would be a little bit harder for me to give this specific kind of example if we were using a different CRM. But so I'm going to use the HubSpot property. I'm going to use lead status. So we'll go ahead and test this. Click continue here. And let's just go ahead. So with this, if you're using in HubSpot to fire a Zapier workflow, the new contact property change trigger, one thing that's important to point out about this is that this is going to fire for all property changes. So all changes that you might make to any record associated with that contact within HubSpot. A quick way around this, and to only make sure it's firing for new customers, is what I like to do, just because HubSpot doesn't give this functionality built in to their Zapier integration by itself, is what I like to do typically is add a filter step here. And this is a really great way if you just need some more control. You don't want to necessarily change the trigger action that you're using, but you want some more control over when that is going to fire. So what I could do here is I will say, instead of just having this change for all types of lead status updates, I'm going to only continue if, and let me find this lead status. Where did that go? I'm going to only continue if lead status exactly matches customer. And what you'll see here is because this contact property change wasn't pulled for a person that was actually a customer, this Zap isn't going to fire for them. So I would wager to guess that what is going on is that it's probably that, and there is a middle step that has a filter. Okay. Yeah, so what I like to do here, Fred, is typically this filter step is going to catch anything that shouldn't be firing, basically, people who became a customer earlier, or folks who maybe that was updated somehow. In order to really troubleshoot this for you, I'd have to see like your specific setup of your HubSpot account, just because HubSpot is so configurable. There's so many different options and ways you might be changing the contract property that was used. I would suggest for this specific case, what I would recommend doing, send us an email at hello@motion.io with a couple screenshots of how your Zap is set up. I'm happy to look into it personally, and I'll get back to you later today. So if you just want to go ahead and email us, we can look into that. And sorry, I wasn't able to totally get that resolved for you live here, but it's just a little bit trickier with HubSpot. So because we have to know what's going on with your account. But if you email us, I'll make sure that I take a look at that for you today. And that was a great first question, Fred. Thanks for writing in, asking that. I'm happy to answer any other question anyone else might have about Motion.io, the way it works, setting up your account. Let me know. Write in with your questions. I'll be responding to everything here live. So one of the questions that we often get about Motion.io, especially from newer users, is how do project templates work in Motion.io? Or even people just not knowing that project templates are a thing. So I want to go and give you all some information about our project template functionality, how that works, what you can do with it, and really just show you how powerful this tool is. So going back into a screen share here, I'm going to jump into an account that I have set up that has a variety of project templates in it already. In general, what project templates are in Motion.io is it is a way that allows you to build scalable, repeatable workflows with all of the tasks, all of the stages, all of the customized project tabs and information that you want to include in each project you launch without having to start from scratch each time. And one thing I noticed is I'm actually just going to clean this up here. This is actually one of the things we just added this week, is that in your templates library, you can now more easily delete any templates that you've created that you don't need anymore. You no longer have to go into each template. You can actually just click this drop down here, click delete. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit so you get a sense of what a built out Motion.io account will look like. So I'm going to go into my digital advertising template here and click edit so you can see what this looks like. So as I'd mentioned, the best thing about templates is they allow you to build out all of your project stages, all of your tasks ahead of time. And this is going to include things that you are requesting from clients. So in the onboarding stage, I'm asking the client to complete their onboarding form, sign their contract, upload brand assets, some pretty typical onboarding tasks there. But you can also include internal team tasks in your template. And these are going to be tasks that either you choose to show to clients in their portal, or maybe you just keep them fully hidden. But for example, I have a task here in this digital advertising template where the team has to design our campaign creative, and then we're going to send it off to feedback for a client. When configuring tasks in a project template, it's important to point out that you can't assign tasks to clients. And that's just because in order to do this, in order to assign a task to a client, you got to first invite them, and you can't invite clients to project templates because they're templates. They're designed to apply to all multiple clients you might be working with. So, and not just that one. What you can do, however, is that you are able to assign internal team members within tasks in project templates. And this is a really handy thing that I recommend doing, just because what it allows you to do is that once you create your project from this template, you don't have to worry about assigning those team tasks. You can do all of that automatically. All you have to do after creating a project from your template is just bulk assign all at once the client or clients that you need, and then you can let Motion.io's automations handle the rest. And this is another great thing about the way the templates work, is that you can set up automations in them that will fire for each new project you create, really eliminating the burden of your team having to manually update things or manually activate tasks. And what I did ahead of this live stream today is I actually went ahead and deleted a lot of the automations from my template here, so I could show you the process of creating those in a template, and we could walk through what it looked like after I go ahead and create a project from this. So for my digital advertising template here, I want the tasks in each stage to kind of waterfall after one another, meaning that I only want the client to be able to complete the tasks in stage 2 after the tasks in stage 1 are complete. And I think that this is a pretty common setup for most folks doing any type of project work, maybe aside from things that are like ongoing work with clients, but for projects with a more defined timeline, this is a pretty typical automation workflow that you'll see. And what you can actually get access to, if you haven't seen this yet, is in in the automations tab of your projects and templates. Motion.io actually provides some suggestions for you to get started. And to kick this off, I am going to choose this first one, which is to activate a task when the project is created. So for this automation, I'm going to rename this very quickly. I'm going to call this Activate Onboarding Form Task. Project created, activate onboarding form task. And what I've done here is I'm using this trigger. So if the project is created, then we will go ahead and activate the task complete onboarding form. And when I use this activate task action, I can actually set a due date. So essentially what I'm saying is, hey, anytime I'm using this digital advertising template, I want, as soon as I create a project from it, I want to activate this first task for the client to complete their onboarding form. I want that to be due in 3 days after the project is created. So go ahead and click save on this. Then for my next automation, and if I toggle back here quickly to the tasks page where I can see all of my tasks in the project, cool. I can see that this task is a target of automations, and get a quick overview of what this automation does. From here, I want to then activate these next 3 tasks in the project after this onboarding form is complete. So what I can do is just head back to my automations tab, and we'll call this automation onboarding form complete. Activate rest of onboarding tasks. And this time, instead of using that project created trigger, I'm going to say if task onboarding form is completed, then activate task kickoff call, activate task contract. In hindsight, I might have wanted to do this contract task first, but the example is it really applies kind of the same way. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to activate all of these tasks 3 days after the onboarding form is completed. And we are good to go. So for a quick recap of the automations we've built out so far, when I create the project, it'll activate the first task for the client to complete the onboarding form. Once that form is complete, these next 3 tasks will automatically be activated and due 3 days later. One of the cool things is that when you're using this automation, you've set up due dates within them. And the due date in this case is set by the automation action itself. Is Motion.io is going to automatically follow up with the client, automatically remind them to complete these things that you are activating. And love to hear that you think that this is cool, Fred. Yeah, this is a really powerful features and functionality of Motion.io. Something I definitely suggest you doing in your templates at some point, just because it really allows you to be hands off until you need to send a customer a deliverable, or maybe they ask a comment or something. But the actual project management work itself of like activating things and updating things, you can really be hands off with by setting up automations like this. So to then just do one final automation in this template, we are going to automatically activate the tasks in the campaign creation stage once everything in the onboarding stage is done. So I'm going to say onboarding stage completed. Activate task 1 in campaign creation. So this time, the triggers I've used thus far, just for a quick recap, I have an automation firing when the project is created, when a task is completed, but this time I want to use the stage trigger. So if stage onboarding is completed, we're then going to activate the task design campaign creative and have that due in 7 days. And then just to give you a visual of why I am doing this is because once all of these tasks are completed, nothing else can really happen until our team actually designs the campaign creative. In this case, this is a digital advertising client we're working with. So basically, we want to make sure that we get to work on their campaign creative as soon as we have everything that we need. And this automation that we've set up will allow us to do so. One final thing about project templates that I do want to show you, actually 2 more things that I want to show you before we go ahead and create a project from this template and show you how that flow works, is I'm going to hop into the portal tab here and just quickly show you what's going on with our portal tabs. So when you create your first project template, if you create it from scratch, you're just going to have 2 tabs listed here. You're going to have a welcome tab as well as a tasks tab. This welcome tab, it can be customized and modified any way that you would like. The tasks tab is a system default. So you can rename it, but you can't delete it or otherwise modify it, just because it's going to pull from the tasks that you are assigning to either clients or team members within the project. And it's really important to successfully using Motion.io. So yeah, we allow you to delete it, change the icon for it, but you can't delete it entirely. You can, however, hide it if you want. But to kick things off here, I'm going to actually just modify the default welcome tab. When you create a template from scratch, this message is going to be here. It's kind of boilerplate information about Motion.io. What I'm going to do is, instead of including that, I'm going to rename this How to Use Your Portal, because this is going to be a tab that clients will access. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and grab a video that I have recently created. And this is up on our YouTube channel. I will share a link for it. But just created a video that is designed to walk clients through their portal, show them the key areas they'll be using and what they can use them for. So I'm going to go and copy this embed code here. All right. And then head back to my Motion.io account, and I'll paste this in to the app embed code section. I'm also going to give this a new icon. We'll give it a little video icon here. I'm also going to remove this other tab that I created. Sweet. So what you see here on the screen, I modified that welcome tab, removed the default information and embedded a video for the client to watch. Really nice 3-minute overview of how to use their portal, and should provide them with all of the information that they need. In addition to being able to customize these default tabs, you're able to create project tabs of your own that will be accessible and associated with each project in Motion.io. So I had already created one in this template, but just to show you the process for creating your own custom project tabs, I'm actually going to delete that and just recreate it from the ground up so you get a sense of how to do this in your templates. So I will go ahead and click New. And I'm going to call this exactly what it was previously, Online Scheduler. And I'm going to come down here to the App Embed Code section. And I have this Calendly calendar link that I am going to go ahead and embed in this project tab. So simple as that. I'll just paste in my URL. Also, I'm going to change the icon for this one and click Save. So great. In my project template here, I have all of my tasks and all of my stages set up. I've set up automations to activate things and give clients access to the tasks they need to complete in the order they need to complete them in. And I've also customized my project tabs so that the client has access to important information. They can watch an overview video as well as schedule an appointment with me at any time. And then just before we move on, I wanted to highlight how useful these project tabs can be. They're really helpful for any type of information that clients might need to access again and again throughout a project. So a scheduler is a great example of that, but you can also even take this a step further and embed things like spreadsheets directly in your project tabs. So I'll go ahead and just show you that really quickly because I think it's something really cool to be aware of. I have this, let me see, is a good spreadsheet to go ahead and share in here. So if I wanted to, if I was a business that used a Gantt chart or something like that, wanted to share it in the project, Motion.io has a really powerful Kanban style view that you can access, which I will show you in just a couple minutes here. But let's say I also want to use, and maybe it's really important for my client that they have a Gantt style view of the project. I could go into my spreadsheet that I've created, simply go to Publish to Web. So I'll go ahead and publish this. Sweet, good to go there. And then I'm just going to grab this link, head back to my project template and paste in the code into the app embed code section. And I'll go ahead and call this just simply Gantt chart, just because I'm not feeling too creative of what to name this right now. Really just wanted to show you how you can embed spreadsheets into project tabs and then carry them through to any projects you create from this. So with everything set up in my project template exactly the way that I want it, I'm going to head to the projects tab of my account. And if this is the first time you're seeing this, the projects tab is really a great sort of home base for your projects. It provides really powerful filters where you can sort by things like projects with overdue tasks, projects with no activity, no active tasks, as well as tasks that are assigned to you. You can also do things like filter by specific types of projects. So in my account, I've set up different tags for bookkeeping services, digital advertising, and web design. If I wanted to see only the digital advertising projects I'm working on, I could click this. But one of the most common things you'll often do from this project tab is create new projects that you're going to invite clients to. So now that we've set up our project template exactly the way that we want it, creating a new project from it takes a couple of clicks and literally 10 to 15 seconds. So what I'll do is I'll click create project. And let's call this project, what should we name this? Let's call it Sarah's Sundays. Let's say we're doing digital advertising for a business called Sarah's Sundays. In general, for your projects, I recommend naming them either the name of the person or the business that you're working with. I'll then click use a project template and select my digital advertising template from the dropdown. If I wanted to, I can also apply tags. In my template, I've set up so that any project I create from it is going to automatically have this digital advertising project tag applied. So I don't really need to do anything here, but just to show you that this, what you can do from this advanced settings drop down here. Next, I'll go ahead and click create client project. And cool. As I had mentioned, everything that we set up in the original template that I walked you through exists here now in the new project I created from it. That includes not only these project tabs that I set up, but also includes the automations that I've implemented. From here, the way that I would kick this off with a client is all I have to do is add them to the project. So I'm going to click add user here. And I already have this client created in my client directory, which if you aren't familiar with that, you can access your client directory from your left-hand sidebar. But I'm just going to click add on Sarah Sunday by selecting her from the dropdown and click add project. For the first client you add to a project, this is something we just added to Motion.io to streamline the process of project setup and creation, is you are going to be prompted to assign that client you add first to the project to all tasks. And this is generally something, except for in a couple of different cases, I recommend doing just because it really makes it easy for you to get your projects launched. So I'm going to click assign client. And what you'll notice is the client has been assigned automatically to all of the client-facing tasks. And the automation that we set up, which activates the onboarding form task when the project is created, is automatically set to the active status. And this means that in their portal, the client can see this task, go ahead and complete it, and get to work immediately. So we get the things that we need back from them as soon as possible. Work can kick off in a really smooth, streamlined manner. To quickly show you what this looks like from the client side, I'm going to copy Sarah's magic link here and open this up in a new incognito tab. And this is a cool little trick you can do if you want to see exactly what your client is seeing in their portal. You go in here, click this little link to copy it, and then open up an incognito tab and paste that link in the browser. So right here, you can see that video I embedded, as well as the spreadsheet and the online scheduler. And then on the tasks tab of this project, Sarah can go in and complete this onboarding form. So I'll quickly just knock this out so you can see how some of the rest of our automations are flowing in the project. And I'll just enter, just whatever values in here. I don't want to bore you with the details of trying to figure out this or, watching me go through it exactly as a client. So I'll go ahead, submit, mark this as completed. And because we have an automation set up that's going to activate the remainder of the tasks in the onboarding stage, once this first task is completed, when I hit refresh, you'll notice that exactly as we set it up, these next 3 tasks are now active for Sarah to complete. So then hopping back into my admin view of the project, I'm just going to override this for now and complete these tasks manually, just so we can trigger this next automation, the final one that we set up in the template. Go ahead and cool. Let's refresh this. And yep, exactly as we set it up, the campaign creative and the task for our team to design that is automatically activated because all of the tasks in this onboarding stage are now complete. So I see we have a couple comments that came in as I was kind of going through that. Fred says, this is cool. I will implement it. Love it. Love to hear that could be helpful there. Tanya says, love this new ability. Yeah, this is actually something that's been a part of Motion.io for a little while now. But we did just do a big overhaul of the way automations work. Much easier to use, much more straightforward. And the workflow that I showed you today is a pretty common one that we are oftentimes helping people set up. And it's as straightforward as, hey, project gets created, activate some tasks, and then you can kind of waterfall them after one another with your automations. Tanya asked a question, and I'll pop back over here to my Zapier account in a second. But before I do pivot away, there's one thing I wanted to talk about here quickly. And that is just that if you ever encounter any issues where there were things that were supposed to be activated or automations that you thought were supposed to be fired and they didn't for some reason, a really easy way that we now have available to troubleshoot that in your projects is just coming back into this automations tab. And what you're able to see here now is there's a column titled last run, and it will show you details on when the automations you set up ran. So I can see that, hey, the project Sarah's Sunday was created and that activated the onboarding form task. And same thing right below it, that, a couple minutes ago, 10:06, we activated the task to schedule the kickoff call, sign the contract, upload the brand assets because that onboarding form task was completed. So I did just want to point that out just because this is can be really, really useful if you are trying to figure out, why an automation fired when it shouldn't have or should have when you expected it to. So back here, I will pause my screen share for a second because Tanya asked a really great question along these lines of kicking off projects in Motion.io. And that question is there a setting when creating a project through Zapier that assigns the client to all client tasks? Great question, Tanya, because yes, there is. It's incredibly useful. And let me go ahead and show you how it works. And what's nice is that because we were going through a workflow that Fred in the chat was wanting to set up a little bit earlier with Zapier, I actually already have this pulled up and I have a very quick way to show you this. So I'm going to share my tab with Zapier in it. And this first trigger, you can pretend this is whatever you want it to be. This might be a different CRM that you're using. This might be a form that someone is filling out either on your website or that you send them via email. I'm going to delete this filter condition step for now, just because we don't necessarily always need that. And I just don't want to confuse you. But yes, so Tanya, in the create project action, I'm going to go back into the editor view of this. And let's go ahead and configure this create project step. So the way that you can automatically assign automatically assign a client to all tasks in a project, the way you have to do that is through this create project Zapier action. So to configure this, I'm going to set this up and I'm going to use this same template we set up before. One of the great things about our Zapier integration and the create project action specifically is it allows you to specify one of the templates that you've set up. So it will automatically pull in all of the stuff you need each time for that project. Just below that in the portal name section, I had mentioned that I like to name this the client's name. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter those details quick. Right below that, I'm actually going to leave these two fields blank. In your templates, you can specify a project owner. And if you've already done so, you don't have to do it again in Zapier. That'll be done for you automatically. Motion.io will handle it. But just below that is going to be probably some of the most important fields to make sure you configure correctly when using Zapier to create new projects. And that's going to be the client's email. So we'll map that to my client email from HubSpot, as well as the client's name. So I'm just going to click first name. Whoops. First name as well as last name. Great. And then exactly to answer your question here, Tanya, the way that you'll assign the client to all tasks is you'll just go ahead and click this option here as true. And an important clarification of what this is going to do, this isn't going to activate the tasks for the client to complete, meaning that the tasks aren't going to be visible right away to the client in their portal. They're just going to be assigned to those tasks. The way that we activate the tasks are going to be through motion.io automations. So you can safely do this without fear of, hey, all of the tasks are going to be activated at once. Nope, that's not going to happen. This is just going to assign your client. Another really useful thing that you can do if you want to, motion.io's create project action allows you to set the value for custom fields when you create a project. So this can be really useful if there's information in your CRM, like the client's business address, say, for example, and you want to pull that into custom fields in your projects. You could do something like, if I had a custom field that was business address, I could then map this to some field in my HubSpot account, the street address field, for example. And each new time this was created, or each time this action fired, it would automatically pull in that data and set it as the value for the associated custom field. So Tanya, I see that you say that is great. Hopefully it sounds like that answered your question there. Yeah, the create project Zapier action we have available in our integration, super duper powerful, super useful. I would say out of anything that we have available that you can do with Zapier, this is like our most heavily used action. Really, really great for streamlining that process of, hey, a new customer has closed or is ready to sign up. We want to kick them over from our CRM to motion.io, automatically create the project. So then to follow on to that and just give you the additional context of like what will happen when that Zap fires that we just went through the setup process for, is that you will see, so it would look very similar to if you just created a new project from scratch. So let me share my screen here. So basically, Zapier is going to handle, and let me just reset this very quickly so you get an idea of what this is going to look like. Basically, Zapier is going to handle everything up until this point. So Zapier is going to go ahead, add the client, assign them to all of the tasks in here, and then your automations can handle the actual activation of these tasks. And the reason why I love workflows like this, and I think the ultimate reason why we see so many of our customers set them up with Zapier, is that you don't have to do anything. And some of those manual steps I showed you earlier of where we click the create project button, selected our template, added the client to it. You don't have to do any of that if you are using our Zapier integration to kick off projects. That said, when you're first getting started with motion.io, the great thing is either way you want to kick off projects, it's really simple. One way is completely automated, but the other way that is quote unquote manual, it's literally just, entering a client's email, clicking a couple of buttons to create your project and select the template. So love to hear that we could answer your question there. And so we just have about 15 minutes left here in our webinar today. So want to dig into some other questions, but I'm also happy to chat about any of the other questions and things you might want to know about motion.io. So feel free to send in those comments and questions. Like I said, I will be responding to everything live and happy to hang out here as long as the questions keep coming in. So with that, One of the next most common things we get asked about in Motion.io are going to be custom fields, how to use them, how to set the values for them. We just saw one way to set custom field values through Zapier, but I'm going to show you another way that you can do it natively in Motion.io, as well as just quickly explain how custom fields work, what they are, different ways you can use them. So let me go ahead and jump back into my account here. If you go in your account to the settings tab and then click fields, you have the ability to add custom fields and create custom fields that you can reuse in your projects, in your templates, wherever you might need them. The way that custom fields work in your actual projects is you're going to paste the slug, which is this value you'll see in double brackets. You can very easily copy it by clicking the copy link there. And anywhere you place this slug, it's going to populate the actual data for that. So to show you a quick example of this, let's go to one of my active projects and this project I just created. And I'm going to set the value for this client's website URL. So let's just call this sarahssundays.com. And I'll go ahead and click Save Value. Once I set the value for this, what you'll notice is that if I paste this in a task, and I'm just, for clarity's sake, I'll call this example custom field. Go ahead and click Save on this. And then I'll open the preview for this task. Whoops, I got to do this for the client here. 1 second. So let me activate this task really quick, and we'll just click refresh here. And what you will see now that I refresh my screen is we have this task for the example custom field that I just added. And in this, 1 second, realize I didn't click save on the value for my custom field. In this, when I open this, it's going to populate with the client's website URL. So custom fields in your projects can be incredibly useful. And to show you some ways other ways you might want to use them, one of the most heavily utilized ways for custom fields that we see is when you are adding them to contracts. So let's go ahead and I'm going to create I already have this business address custom field. So I'm going to go ahead into my contract templates here. And Fred, thanks for hanging out with us. See, you got to go. But yeah, if you have additional questions, I know you wrote into our support desk, but we're here every week, 10:30, the same time. So keep joining us, keep tuning into the live streams. Pivoting back here to talking about custom fields in your Motion.io projects. One of the things that we often see in Motion.io is that within your contracts, there can be a lot of information that clients have to fill out that you actually already have on file, and you don't necessarily want them to have to fill it out every single time or have a team member fill it out every single time. And instead of having that manual process, you can use custom fields to automatically populate that information. So a great example of this is in my contract here that I've created for web design services that I offer. I have this question that asks the client their business address. Instead of having them to manually enter that address, what I can do is go down into the advanced settings of the field, and you can open this by clicking on it, and simply paste the slug for my business address custom field into it, so that anytime the client, this is sent to a client, it will automatically pull this information from my custom field directly into the project, really limiting the amount of times that a client, and the amount of information a client has to enter. Because my goal for this and what I ultimately want to do is make it so all the client has to do when completing this contract is just sign and date. That's it. I want to automate everything else for them. What you'll notice is that this business address question actually appears twice in my contract template here. And now in Motion.io, we have the ability to very quickly populate the same custom field multiple times in the same project. And the way that you do that is super duper simple. So just to show you what this process looks like from beginning to end, I'm going to drag in a new text field here. I'm going to add a label for it. I'll call this business address. And once again, I am going to come down to advanced settings and paste in my custom field for the business address. One very important clarification when using custom fields in your contracts, especially when you're using them multiple times, is that in order to populate them multiple times, you need to add a quick naming convention to the end of the second custom field or third or fourth. Basically, everything after the first business address field that I would add, and you'll see I got an error message because I didn't add that yet. You need to add a underscore and then a number. And it's as simple as that. So the first time this custom field is populating in my contract, all I have to do is paste in the custom field as originally created. Second time, all I have to do is just add underscore and then a number. And following this same structure, for example, if the business address appeared a third time in this contract, I would just do _3. If it appeared 4 times, _4. But it's as simple as that. Underscore plus a number, and then you can reuse that same value multiple times again and again in the same contract. And this is something like I said, we just recently added to Motion.io. Super powerful for eliminating the manual work and manual data entry that both clients as well as your team members might have to do for every contract that you send out. So if anybody has any questions about custom fields, about the ways to use them, let me know. We have about 5 minutes left here today, and I will get into our last topic with those 5 minutes here. And that is how to use form blocks in automations. This is a question we did cover last week, but it's something that I still find that a lot of people just don't know about in Motion.io. So I want to talk about it very briefly. And to do that, I'm going to head back to the same project template that we had created earlier, and we kind of walked through the setup process for. So go into my templates, click edit, and I'm going to head back to this automations tab here. I'm going to add a new automation, and we're going to simply call this automations import SEO services tasks. So the way that we are going to do this, and kind of the business use case for doing a automation like this that I'm going to show you using a form block automation, is let's say you have multiple services. In my case, for this example business that I'm showing you an account of, I have a digital marketing business, and we offer setup and campaign creation and creative services for digital advertising, but we also offer SEO services. What I can do is that if a client initially says, hey, I'm just interested in the digital advertising services that you offer, but I don't want the SEO services. But then they later come to us and say, when they complete a form, actually, just kidding, I would like those SEO services that you offer now. In my form, I have a question that's called, are you interested in SEO services? So that's in my onboarding form. I can use the form block trigger event to say, if they answer this question, yes, we can kick off a whole additional set of tasks for both the client to complete as well as our team members to complete directly within their same project. So I added this form block trigger where if are you interested in SEO services, yes, what we're going to do is import an entire stage from a different template I've set up. So I'll go up here to my SEO services template. And actually, I did the import task action. I want to do an import stage action for this. So I'm going to import the onboarding stage. I'm going to import the analytics setup and optimization stage. And I'm also going to import a final stage that is really involved with recurring work, ongoing management, optimization of the client's website and SEO. So I'll click save, and that automation is good to go. So what you would see is that if the client answered yes to the question on their form, these tasks will automatically get imported into their template. And I will quickly walk you through this just to kind of replicate what you would see. So I'll click yes to this. Actually, just let me edit this here really quickly. Okay. So we can create a new project from this to show you. I think it's really helpful to show you like how these automations look when they're actually firing in your projects. We'll just use a quick name as an example of this for now. Using that same template we set up at the start of this webinar. So go ahead and I will fill this out just as the client here. And you'll see I'm answering yes to that question. Okay, just complete this by uploading a file. Whoops, missed a field there. Okay, so cool. That task has been completed. And let's watch what happens because we have set up our automations to fire when the client completes that question. So I can see now that this automation to import the SEO services tasks has run. Coming back to our tasks view here. Great. All of those stages and tasks that are related to the SEO services that the client indicated they were interested in are now right there in their template. They can start going to complete the onboarding tasks. Our team can start all of the work on our end related to providing those services for the client. So hope that was useful. Hope everybody got a lot out of this webinar. We really touched a lot of great stuff today, from automations to custom fields to using the different types of automation triggers and actions that are available in Motion.io. As always, if you have questions about Motion.io or your specific account, feel free to send us an email at hello@motion.io. If you're not yet using Motion.io, we would love to have you sign up for a trial or even meet with our team on a demo. The way that you sign up is you can either head to our website and just click any of the big old buttons that you'll see at the top of our menu bar, or you can go directly to app.motion.io/register. Until next week, everybody, my name is Sam Chlebowski, co-founder of Motion.io, signing off. Have a great weekend, y'all. Bye-bye.